Hello, welcome to another episode of Coffee and Propaganda. I'm Duncan King. In this episode, we're going to examine the very strange phenomenon of Otherkin. Whenever I hear this mentioned, it's sort of in the vein of people complaining about the newer generation and how society's crumbling and everything's going so weird and people are making up these weird things, and sort of in the vein also of people claiming that there's multiple genders and that kind of thing. From what I've seen, Otherkin is really not sweeping the nation the way they acted it like it is. Otherkin, it's a fringe subculture sort of thing. It's not something to really worry about. My son's in school. He tells me that there's no one in his school that is an Otherkin. And he's in an American high school. He never even heard of it before I mentioned it to him. So it's not really that big of a phenomenon. Sometimes when things are strange or a little different, they rise to our attention in a way that perhaps they wouldn't otherwise. So people think that they're more common than they actually are. Or because it's new, then they think it's more common than it actually is. Or because it's specific to the newer generation, then they think it's more common than it actually is. But Otherkin's actually sort of a rare thing. It's fringe subculture. What it resembles, if you really look into it, it's actually somewhat religious. It seems like a modern manifestation of spiritism, a lot of Native American spiritism, the idea that you have a spirit animal, and that so part of your being is actually the spirit animal. Like you have your spirit animal could be the wolf or whatever. But when you put that into kind of a modernistic sort of expression of that Native American belief system, then it turns into really strange behavior, like people putting makeup on and actually acting like they're their spirit animal or whatever, which I'm not really sure that that's really what was meant by the Native American spiritism. And whether it's totally rude to just totally treat them as though they're just weirdos instead of a subculture. I mean, and the question I have to keep asking through this whole thing, is this really weirder than most of our religions? Is this really weirder than Christianity or Scientology or something? And I would argue that it probably isn't. It's no less weird. It's weird, but no less weird. First video we're going to look at is by a young lady, and this is called Otherkin Basics. The video is called. It's called by a young lady named Raven the Wolf. And she is a very pretty young lady, very well spoken, and so represents this Otherkin very well in her presentation, at least.
Anyway, Otherkin is a person who has a non-human spirit or soul. Now, this soul or spirit can be an earthly creature, an other realm creature, or an otherworldly creature. This does not include fiction-kin or robot-kin or, hold on, I don't know how to say this, sanguinary vampires, and this is because none of them have souls, like robots.
How does she know if anything has a soul? I mean, where is this coming from? Is this some kind of biological analysis of hard data where she knows what has a soul and what doesn't? I mean, she could just as very well say that this calculator has a soul, for all we know that a wolf has a soul, or a lion has a soul, or a giraffe has a soul, or even a person has a soul. You could say anything has a soul. So where is she saying that a robot doesn't have a soul? I mean, she can't prove that either. Another thing I want to point out that's kind of similarity. There's a similarity here. You have the concepts of souls, which seems to be Judeo-Christian or Zoroastrian in its nature. But then you have this idea that animals can have souls, which is not Christian. So there's a weird kind of blending of beliefs here.
Robots do not have souls, and fictional characters or fiction-kin do not have souls. Therians are a subcategory of Otherkin. Now, not all Otherkin are Therians, and not all Therians are otherkin, because Therians are very specifically earthly creatures. They are creatures that exist on planet Earth or that have existed on planet Earth. Some examples.
I've looked this up, this Therians. Therian actually is a evolutionary, well, not evolutionary, but it's a taxonomic term for creatures that give birth to live young. So, Therians are marsupials, and placental mammals are Therians, which excludes monotremes such as the platypus and creatures like that. And of course, all reptiles and all fish and all animals that lay eggs. But she's using it in this kind of weird kind of concept. Let me look at what she's actually talking about with a Therian. Another example of people changing our words to and confusing us more than is necessary. So you got to look this up in an urban dictionary. Therian, short for therianthrope. A Therian is someone who feels a connection with an animal, not necessarily an animal from this plane either. Although most accepted Therians tend to be animals, such as wolves or big cats. There are also some who believe themselves to be unicorns or other mythical creatures. The connection the person feels with the animal can range from feeling they have been born into the wrong body, similar to those with gender issues, or simply belief that they were an animal in a past life and still retain some memories or behaviors of said animal. Therians do not physically become the animal they have connection with, although some do describe mental shifts where they feel their whole thought process becomes that of the animals. Therians are not to be confused with the furry fandom who have a completely different relationship with animals. It's sort of a joke supposed to be thrown in there at the end. This reminds me of a little bit of that South Park episode where Mr. Garrison, it's called Mr. Garrison's Fancy New Vagina. And it's about Mr. Garrison goes out and has a sex change. And then I think it's Kyle's dad decides that he's always been a dolphin deep down. So he has a plastic surgery change into a dolphin. I think we call it a dolphin-plasty or something like that. And then I think it's Kyle has a transformation into a black person. They have a negroplasty. But anyway, it's kind of similar, like Stan's dad. No, it's Kyle's dad. Felt like he was always secretly the dolphin, so he has this dolphin-plasty. I'll show you a little clip of a little photo of that. Dolphin plasty. South Park. This is him having his dolphin plasty. Yeah, that's Kyle's dad because he's the Jewish one. Now, am I correct about that? Yeah, Kyle's the Jewish one, so that's Kyle's dad. Yeah, and he had the dolphin plasty. Plastic surgery guy. And they were presenting this as like a ridiculous scenario, just like some silly thing, well, if you can secretly feel like you're a man trapped in a woman's body, then a person could feel like he's a dolphin trapped inside of a person's body, and then he goes out and has a dolphin plasty. But I don't think this is way before this Therian thing came about, this Otherkin thing. So they were kind of prophesying an actual phenomena that actually would end up happening. Let's go back to the video.
Examples of Otherkin are dragons, fairies, demonkin, and angelkin. And if you guys want me to make a video about any of those, I would love to make a video about angelkin and demonkin.
Again, really weird combination here. Angels and demons are a Christian idea or a Zoroastrian idea. How are we merging that with the idea that animals have spirits and souls in them? That's not Christian. So it's just, it's weird. You know, I often say that the categories that we put religions in a modern context, I think need to be rethought. Because a lot of modern people and what they believe really don't fit with the old categories of Christian, Muslim. Because, for instance, you have all these people that I call astrology Christians. For some reason, 40% of Americans believe in astrology. Astrology is clearly religious, but then you also have 76% who are Christians. So obviously a lot of these Christians also believe in astrology. So how do you merge that together? You know, astrology, Christianity, I don't know. It creates a new category. Then there are some people who say they believe in God, but they don't believe in Jesus. And they believe in heaven and hell or angels and things like that, but not necessarily in Jesus Christ, or that you go accept Jesus Christ to be saved, or in the Bible, or that people go to heaven or hell based on whether they believe in Jesus or not. They kind of think you go to heaven and hell based on whether you're a good person. So there's all kinds of categories of what people believe these days that don't really fit with the models of traditional religions. There are people, and though I call those people Western monotheists. They kind of have taken elements of Christianity, like the belief in heaven and hell, and the belief in God, and kind of just merged it with their own sort of concepts of the cosmos or whatever. But it's strange, you know, and this young lady is doing the same thing, where she's kind of merging angels and demons in with this Native American spiritism together.
Because I think they're fascinating. The next part of this video is going to be about how to find out you are in Otherkin. The biggest thing that I would tell you guys is to meet and talk to as many Otherkin of varying species, I guess is a word I could say in this situation. Talk to every single kind of Otherkin that you can find. Learn from sincere people. Learn from people that truly believe in what Otherkin and Therians are. Don't go to these people that are doing it just to be cool or because they think it's interesting for the time being. Go to people who truly know that their soul is a non-human soul. See if something strikes a chord with you, and if it doesn't, that's completely okay. Like, not every human being on this planet is going to be a Therian or an Otherkin or a Dragonkin or a Fairykin or whatever. Some people are just humans, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
We're glad that she's okay with us just being humans. I am so grateful for your tolerance for the rest of us just being humans. The worst thing than, nothing worse than an Otherkin not accepting other people for not having souls of wolves in them. I'm so glad you're tolerant that I'm just human.
So I guess that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. Sorry this video is super short. I have a couple announcements for you. I made a Facebook page. Wow! So excited. I already put...
Yeah, I'm a girl. Everyone look at me. I'm a pretty girl. Everybody jumped me. 25,000 views for this video. That's what happens when you're a pretty girl. Let's go to another video. This is by a young man who's not quite so photogenic. Well, he's kind of photogenic young man, but he's not quite so well-spoken. Not quite so sunny, I guess would be the word. Not quite so sunny as the young lady we just saw. And his video only has 845 views, and I'm glad I ran into this because it's kind of a... I like to show videos on here not a lot of people have watched, and this is a very kind of different video. So let's take a look at this.
There's one group I've joined to just be with them, and well, they call themselves Otherkin. Well, this is it basically means that you're not actually a human, but rather you're an animal, or something like that. You can even be a fake animal, like a dragon or a unicorn or a dinosaur. Personally, though, I've joined the sheepdog kin. My spirit animal is a sheepdog, and it's time that I stop holding back what I really am. Just be myself. And myself is a sheepdog.
Okay. Um, are there other underlying mental problems here going on with this young man? From just looking at him, obviously I don't know him. I don't know much about his life or his history or his parents or his background. There's something going on here. What I would, if with a layman's diagnosis, not knowing much about him, I would say that he's on very heavy ADHD medication. He seems like he's on something like that. And as we know, a lot of mothers, boys are put on ADHD medication a lot more than girls are, and it's one of those phenomenon because mothers don't act like their boys acting like boys, so they kind of sedate them with this medication. And so my impression is that he has one of those mothers, and because she hates his maleness, she puts him on this medication, and so he's grown this mentality over the course of his life that he is whatever you interpret him to be, because his mother probably hates his masculinity, hates his natural male, his natural boyishness. So it's all up for interpretation what I really am. So I could be a sheepdog or whatever. Yeah, that's the impression I'm getting here after first glance. But whatever it is, there's some kind of underlying mental issue. Is it super serious? Should I take this super seriously? Him thinking he's a sheepdog? In itself, it doesn't seem that bad. I mean, a lot of things that he could be doing that are a lot worse. I mean, if I had to pick between him being an otherkin and being a cigarette smoker, I'd pick the otherkin any day. With him experimenting with alcohol and drugs, I'd pick otherkin any day. So it's not something that, as a parent, would cause me great alarm. I would look into it, maybe think of it maybe as a symptom of something underlying, some kind of underlying issue with this young man. But otherwise, I'm going to avoid kind of ripping him up because he is a kid, and we got to keep that in mind. We don't want to really mock him too much because he does have parents out there just like my kid does, and we want to go light on him.
So this was about a week ago when I really started to get into the whole sheepdog shenanigans. Never mind. But I went to school in a dog suit like they have on that show, Wilson, or Wilson. Well, I also put on some makeup to make myself look even more like a dog, and suddenly no one wanted to be around me when I got to school. My friends just sort of, they just didn't even, like I swear I saw them out in the distance, but then they weren't there. I guess they've become molecule kin, but who needs them?
His friends should stay his friends no matter what. If he's being a little different, then they should stay friends. So obviously they're rotten friends, and maybe you should get rid of them on that basis. But again, also I see a little bit of this young man, an inability to understand how his own behavior looks to other people. So there's some serious, well, I'm not going to say serious, but there are some mental issues, some underlying psychological issues here with him having a poor grip on how his own behavior appears to his peers.
Not me. I I have my friends on Tumblr. Um, well, anyway, I was at lunch and sitting alone because they've pretty much given me a table all to myself because I'm notorious for being uh, very powerful, like the guy from Dragon um, Dragon Box, Dragon Ball, yeah, and well, I was sitting at lunch just playing with the gum under the table, since the people who used to sit there until I came, they were very they were criminals. They they got what they deserved. And well, this girl came up to me and asked me why I was wearing a dog suit, and I simply yelped like a dog in response. And she laughed because I guess she thought it was like um, a show, and she then, kind of got a bit more serious about asking me about it, and well, I started to sniff her, and she got a bit creeped out, I think. I mean, she must be a catkin, and they don't usually go well together with dogkin, but I licked her, and at that point she got up and left angrily.
That usually doesn't turn out well. I've never done it myself, but usually if you lick a girl, yeah, they don't usually like that very much. That kind of doesn't go over well in modern society when you lick a girl. Yeah, I'd probably avoid that. But again, there seems to be a drastic problem with this young man to kind of understand how other people are reacting to his own behavior. He's There's some underlying mental issues here.
So I got up and did what any other dog would do when they meet a new dog. I I I galloped after her on all fours like a dog, and I stuck my nose, you know, apparently where it didn't belong because
Oh
she
my
kicked me
god.
after that, right in the
Okay.
right in.
I think he's thinking he put his nose up her vagina. Dogs do that. They'll smell each other's genitals. Yeah.
The belly. I suppose she's just playing along with it because they used to kick they used to kick dogs back in the old days, like in the dinosaur period, back in the 1800s,
What?
before
The
they all
dinosaur period back in the 1800s. Okay.
died of Black Death.
The dinosaurs died
But
of Black Death. Is this guy for real?
uh, or was that children? Well, whatever.
Oh my god.
Point is, I guess she's in on the whole thing too, the whole movement. Soon, we're all gonna be true about our feelings to one another, and we're all gonna be our true selves. I have I have a bit of a conspiracy theory. We're all something else, and none of us are actually humans. Humans are actually just our bodies.
Kind of like Scientology, almost, is what he's talking about here. Very similar. You can see how this can take a religious turn very quickly.
And, well, I'm getting kind of confused myself. So, let me just say, I love being a dog. Um, I love the food. I love the benefits. And, there's this thing that they do to dogs, exclusively to dogs and sometimes other pets. And, I'm really excited, but I don't exactly know what it means. They call it getting neutered, neutral. Um, I'm guessing this has something to neutral. Um, I'm guessing this has something to do with like um, getting my claws done,
Yeah, it's
like
exactly
a
what it
human
means.
woman does.
Getting your claws done. Go get
But
that
I'm
done.
not entirely sure, and I actually, since becoming a dog, forget how to read, so I can't actually do all that. But uh, tell me what otherkin you are in the comments, and don't say you aren't an otherkin because we all are.
Kind of sounds like a Christian whenever they say, "Don't say you don't believe in Jesus because everyone does down deep in their heart." Is this kid for real? Yeah. Well, there's some kind of laughing comments here. Does he have other videos where he's a dog? He's still talking about it. Well, he's much older now. That other video was younger. Let's take a look at see if he's still talking about this.
Hey guys, right now I'm in my kitchen, and yeah, it's been a little while. If you
He
hear any
seems
noise,
happier in
that's
this video.
the washer. My buddy left. He gave me this candle. He gave me a few others. Right now, waiting for some wax to melt. Yeah, when we get some more, then we'll start our little experiment.
Okay, I don't want to see how that goes. He seemed happier as time went on. I don't know if he got weirder or not, but what's my opinion of this young man? Should I really be concerned? Should we really be concerned? He's different. There's things going on. I would hope if he has a good, strong support system at home, he has people who care about him, people are paying attention to what he's doing, then I don't see why this should manifest in totally negative behavior. I mean, it is pretty, him chasing the girl around and barking and stuff in her vaginas, something he really needs to stop doing. But otherwise, he's a kid. I mean, did I do anything that stupid when I was a kid? Not really. Well, I mean, I smoked cigarettes and drank and stuff like that. I mean, which is worse, I guess, than being an otherkin. It's actually stupider. But I don't know. As long as he has good support system around him, and they can look at his behavior in context of everything else he's doing in his life, and see if he goes off the rails and says something really dangerous, then I wouldn't be too alarmed about him thinking he's a sheepdog. It's weird, but it's not so weird that we just can't tolerate it. And is it any weirder than believing in Jesus? Not really. This is a kind of a compilation of
Having a
things.
big old stack of playing cards.
Hey everyone, as you can tell, I have my tail on. Isn't it beautiful? It is beautiful. I'm finding it's more horse-like. I might have to put more fur on it, but yeah, for now it's gonna stay that way. But I just want to make an update on my snarl, growl, and bark and howl. My bark is not like a wolf bark. It's like a dog bark, like a little dog bark. But I am a Wolferian, so anyways, I just wanted to do an update on it because my bark and howl have improved. But hopefully it sounded good because I've been a little bit sick, so my throat is kind of so.
Van Helsing and the Twilight series have captured the attention of teenagers.
With that lady, is she really very interesting without this? That may be part of why she does this. Maybe psychologically, she's a little boring without being secretly a dog. I mean, you could picture her sitting there talking about the color of her cats, or making noodles, or she's probably pretty boring otherwise, other than having this part of her life where she thinks she's secretly a dog or a cat or whatever the hell she thinks she is. No, she had a howl, so she's a dog. Yeah, it sounds to me in that situation that it's a woman who is probably really boring otherwise, and so she came up with something to make herself more interesting.
They may not be mutating from man to wolf, but counselors warn these teens are experiencing transformations of their own, from childhood to adulthood.
Young people are looking to define their identities, sometimes to come together and affiliate around a theme or an idea, and just really to belong, that sense of belonging.
And a sense of belonging is just what this group says they're after.
You get friends, you get a place you belong. Yeah, you pretty much you're accepted to where you are, who you are, what you are.
Day-Kitten Wolfram Lupus is the unofficial leader of the pack at Brandeis High. He says he's got some wolf in him, howling sometimes to get out. We spotted the tails at a West Side mall doing what teenagers do.
We just hang out here, we're just like another family. This is our second home, basically.
And you couldn't help but notice the eyes and the fangs. It's a style, we're told, and nothing more.
We're not trying to be intimidating. We're not trying to be menacing or anything. We're just trying to live our daily lives and just hang out, you know? As teenagers, we just want to have fun.
They just kind of look at you weird sometimes at point, and you can tell they're kind of...
The first and foremost misconception about Otherkins and Therians is the P shift, or the physical shift. We don't have them. It is simply not possible. Would it be cool?
I looked this up. I guess what that is, P shift, is the belief shift, Otherkin. It has something to do with thinking you can actually turn into the animal. I'm a little confused. In theory, a P shift would include any physical change from a Therian to that of their phenotype or animal. However, as there are documented cases of people physically becoming animals, P shifts are fantasy and nothing more. Well, I mean, the rest of it's fantasy too, but I guess that would mean actually becoming like a wolf, or like a werewolf or something like that, or a werecat or something like that. And this woman is steadfastly saying that doesn't happen. Well, I'm glad she's very logical that way.
Sure, it would be very cool, but if someone claims to do P shifts, they are either just a troll or mentally challenged. End of story. I've seen where people are like, alright, so you don't...
But you thinking you have the spirit of an animal in you, that's not crazy at all. We're so glad that you could be critical of that craziness.
believe in P shifts and stuff. And they're like, well, we can't prove it, but you can't disprove it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I can, but it won't work if I tell you because you don't believe in logic. So there's that.
Could she prove that she doesn't have the soul of whatever in her? Yeah.
But yeah, P shifts. Don't even listen to people who talk about they're crazy. They're insane. Trust me. Secondly, choosing your stereotype. A misconception is that we all choose our own stereotypes, and that is not true. If you're
for you. Do you know what? This Target, they just kicked me out for being a furry. What the fuck is wrong with these people? It's not even fair. Furries are people too. I mean, seriously, I was just escorted out by one of the employees for being furry. She wanted me to take off my head. No! Same to you. I mean, you don't tell a regular person to take off their head. I mean, can you imagine a human walks into a furry bar? Excuse me, miss, you can't come in here with that head on. What is the deal? Furries are people. We're people. We talk, we walk. I don't get it.
Okay. Damn it, I hate it when I pause the video and it jumps me to another part. Be so exact with my mouse when I'm looking at YouTube videos. Furries, I know, and this is a strange thing for a 39-year-old man to know, but furries and otherkin aren't the same thing. Furries are people who like to wear animal costumes that are furry or fluffy, and it has a sexual element to it. That's not the same thing as otherkin. The person who made this kind of compilation here is being a little unfair there. But I would say even in the case of that woman, she seems to have a strange misunderstanding of how her own behavior is interpreted by others. I'm not saying it's totally fair to throw her out of the store for wearing a fur costume. I don't know if that's really all it was. We weren't there and we didn't see it, but at the same time, yeah, she doesn't realize other people would interpret that as different.
My name is Rye, and this is my new channel. All my friends know this, but you don't. I am Otherkin. Wait. All my friends do not know that. Well, you guys know now that I am Otherkin. My stereotype is it's not like a actual species yet. Like, they don't have a name for it, but it's a wolf mixed with a fox. So wolf and a fox. Yeah, that. But another thing about me is I always wear a jean jacket, no matter what. Like, yeah, you'll always see me in a jean jacket, a hood. I have 3 of them. You'll see me wearing different ones. So yeah. Also,
I don't know how they think that the soul of the wolf and the fox got in their body. If maybe they're incorporating some kind of reincarnation in there or something like that. I don't know. Another thing, that's a kid. I mean, we don't want to be too harsh on him. I mean, he has parents out there that I'm sure they care about him, and you know, and is that really a big deal what he's doing? In the case of these kids, is this really that different than them like being into Pokemon or Star Wars? I mean, it's being socially encouraged by adults, so that's a little different. And so it does have the potential to kind of maybe mess them up a little bit because they're actually encountering adults encouraging them to do this. But to actually believe in it. Which is the same thing happens with people raised in a religion too. But at the same time, you got to kind of be like, they're kids, and it's probably fun for them to do this. So.
Yeah, today I'm going to be talking about my Otherkin, form. If you guys don't know what an Otherkin is, it's basically kind of like a subculture or community type thing, whatever you want to call it.
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop.
She didn't say anything that weird. She called it a subculture community or something like that. That's what it is. I mean, why is that a problem?
Stop it. Get some help.
She doesn't need help. She's a little kid.
Hello. Alright. As you can see from the title, today in this video I'm going to explain how to find your spirit's name or your Ethereum name. Some people make up their own name or already know their name and don't feel like they need to find one spiritually. But if you want to find your name spiritually, there are 3 different ways that I know you can do it. I'll explain mine too. The first way I know is that you envision yourself walking into a cave, and you have to like really know where you are and like think about it and really be detailed about it. That's why it didn't work for me. I'm not a very detailed.
If I do it that way, then I can't be a fish or a snake or a bird because they can't walk into the cave. That kind of limits things.
No, fuck you!
Oh, I don't care about that. Just some guy yelling at a video game. Anyway, that's a glimpse into this Otherkin. Is it sweeping the nation? No, it really isn't. I mean, it's this strange little subculture thing that seems to have a lot to do with religion. I mean, it's kind of combining a lot of different religious beliefs. Seems to be some combination of Native American spiritism, or at least our perception of Native American spiritism. Native Americans had all kinds of different beliefs depending on the tribe and what they believed. But one of these ideas that seems to have caught our imagination is the idea of having a spirit animal for some reason, and that's kind of caught our imagination. There seems to be a combination maybe there with reincarnation, so some Eastern religion combining there, and then even some Judeo-Christianity with the idea of angels and demons, and that having to do with the spiritual or whatever. You get the spirit of the animal in you or whatever. And you see some combination, different people doing it. You see some people that might be doing it to kind of mask psychological issues that they actually have. Some people seem to actually be kind of turning on to this for the religious aspects of it. Seem to be the same kind of people that might be turned on to Native American or weird Eastern religions or feng shui and that kind of thing. And then you also see kids doing it almost as kind of like role play, having fun with it kind of thing. Is it anything to really alarm us? Is it the downfall of Western civilization as we know it? I wouldn't say so. It seems mostly fun. Well, anyway, if you enjoyed this video, it's not my kind of fun, but it's somebody's kind of fun. Whatever they enjoy doing. And if you know someone who's doing this to mask some kind of other psychological problem, then keep tabs on them, watch what they're doing, see if there's something else going on there. Otherwise, just be their friend, be their parent, or whatever you are to them, and be supportive. And with that being said, thanks for watching my video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this, whatever this is. And thanks for watching.